Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic and that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to follow me on social media. There are links in the description below. Very big thank you to everyone who leaves a comment every single day to support the channel and the algorithm. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Wild times. Absolutely off the chart. Just completely wild times that we continue to have within the cryptocurrency space. I still believe personally that something weird is happening behind the scenes. If you've missed a slew of videos, I don't have a number for you. We keep getting news and information that, like a lot of companies and institutions, we just had, I believe, number 19 yesterday. I believe it was number 19 of another company announcing that they're getting into buying Bitcoin. And then that same day, but the last 5 days, at least twice, if not thrice per day. Would 4 be quatrice per day? We keep hearing about the other companies who said that they were going to buy, announcing that they're also buying more. So either we're all completely insane or something behind the scenes is taking place that's causing all of these companies to absolutely lose their minds. We've also been getting a lot of still de-dollarizing news, U.S. debt news, U.S. deficit news, moving away from U.S. assets news, if you haven't also been seeing that as well. It's kind of popped up even more the last 4 months, where a lot of people are providing charts and showing exactly how bad the US dollar infrastructure debt deficit currently is. And I would assume that a lot of what we're seeing as far as interest in other assets is probably coming from this as well. This was not tiny news. This was not fly-by-night news. This news was so dramatically popular, I had to roll my eyes multiple times. It makes sense, but it's also what in the world is going on? Tyler Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss twins, the people from the Facebook movie, did not write a thread or drop a chart. He only posted 2 words on Twitter, and they were, and I quote, "Buy Bitcoin." That was his reaction to a now viral graph showing the U.S. national debt crossing, oh my word, crossing 36.2. Is that a real number? The U.S. national debt crossing 36.2 trillion US. Did you hear that? That was trillion with a T. Imagine $1 million. Imagine $100 million. Imagine $1 billion. Imagine $35 billion in your bank account. Imagine $350 billion in your bank account. Imagine $1 trillion in front of you. It's actually impossible for the human mind to conceptualize. That's why I'm giving you these big numbers. Now multiply that by 36. That's the amount of debt that the United States is. $36 trillion. And it's still climbing. So we've always had a problem with debt and the idea of repaying it. I remember even being younger and I couldn't understand. I guess who the fudge knows. Whenever you would see that thing, it was always summertime where they were voting on a new debt ceiling, and they would always wait until the last second to actually put forth a new proposal. It's gotten to the point where this is so much money that it actually can't be paid back. So the debt usually is across all countries in some sort of way paid back in installments. You're not going to do this all at once. You would have to print $36 trillion. The problem is that it's kind of like, you know how like the credit card trap or like the student debt trap, where like you pay money back, but then you realize you're just paying the principal, not the actual interest. It's just like that. So some of it is always being paid back, but the interest ends up like completely moving up so much higher that this is why the number keeps ticking up and will essentially probably always continue to go up. The issue is, my friends, is that this encompasses everything surrounding the whatchamajaggers, the world reserve currency. So if by design or consequence, other currencies surrounding it that are fiat in nature also exist and are, in air quotes, worse than the world reserve currency. If the world reserve currency collapses, you can imagine the other currencies will also begin to rapidly collapse as well. Do you remember I remember, and you would hear all these things. Was it Nigeria? I don't remember. There's some country where they had these $800 million bills because their inflation was rising so fast. We live under the illusion that because the dollar is always the dollar, the one's always going to be there, that nothing can go wrong. And then you go into the supermarket and you buy 7 things and it comes out to $118 and you go, inflation. The chart itself looks like a tech stock in a bull run. Except it is not Apple, nor is it Nvidia. It is the federal debt growing in a straight vertical. Wait till you see the chart. Growing in a straight vertical line from the early 2000s to today. No slowdown, no breaks, just more borrowing. Can I be honest with you? I wonder what this is going to lead to. Like, I wonder where this goes. You understand what I'm saying? If we have this actual breakdown in fiat currency and the money does go to Bitcoin, what is everyone who doesn't have Bitcoin going to do? His post landed, it's been a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks after other big news on the 17th of May, in case you missed it, Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit rating from a AAA to an AA1. They were the third and final major agency to pull the top tier rating from the U.S., citing rising deficits and no clear plan to slow them down. Listen. Do you know behind the scenes? You know how, remember when inflation was just getting worser in 2020, and we kept on hearing that inflation was only 2.7%. Inflation's only 2.9%, and I was showing you the charts. People's rent had gone up by 60% in a year. Groceries had gone up by 70, 80% over the course of a 365-day period. That's the real inflation. You know, when all that stuff happens, in the real world, behind the scenes, people have to make up lies and charts. And really, this is how it works, to show that things aren't that bad. Because if we had gotten accurate charts in 2020 and 2021 to show how bad things really were, people would have lost their bananas. Do you understand the actual pressure that there is from these 3 major credit rating institutions to have to downgrade the United States? The pressure behind them that says don't do it because this is the US and their currency runs the world. The fact that all 3 of them did it at the exact same time shows that something is really, really, really bad. Do you do you get what I'm alluding to? we've heard, and I think it's also coming up. Yeah, there we go. Treasury Secretary Besant, I don't know, tried to calm down markets last week, saying, and I quote, the United States would never default on their debt. That's not the problem that people are having. People aren't assuming that the United States is ever going to announce that they're defaulting on their debt. They're going to continue just to print more money. The problem is that you either print yourself into oblivion or you destroy world markets. They're going to continue paying it back. They've been doing this for a long time. The issue is that this number can literally go up forever. Here's the tweet right here from Tyler Winklevoss. It says, buy Bitcoin. This is not Apple. This is not Tesla. This is not Nvidia. It's the U.S. national debt. It looks crazy. This doesn't even look like a real chart that someone could have made. If this is what's happened in the last couple of years, I really wonder where this is all going to go. I say that completely truthfully. Everything seems to be crunching right now. Do you remember the news articles years ago? If you get a chance, you can Google this. Put in the words, how much land does Bill Gates own? You'll see like charts and like actual like it. Spoiler, it's a lot. But when you see the numbers, you're like, oh, snaps. Like that kind of thing. Rich people are buying up all the land. They're buying up all the homes. They're buying up all the apartments. I don't know if you've also seen documentaries. They're also buying up trailer parks. This is usually something in many documentaries that I saw. They were saying that this is usually not something that bigger investors would want to buy, but they're literally finding that this is also a cash cow in its own right. They're buying up air rights. They're buying up lakes and rivers. This is also like a really big thing. 3 companies, it's BlackRock, was it Blackstone and Fidelity? I'm missing one of them. 3 companies own 88%. That is 8% of the United States stock market. 88%. Look it up. Type in BlackRock 88% stock market. It'll definitely pop up. We're hearing that between 90 to 95% of all Bitcoin is now owned by whales. I would logically assume it's the same cohort of people who've been buying up all of these assets. Where is all of this going? I saw someone post. Okay, I'll give you the context. I saw someone post this 4 years ago and I rolled my eyes. And then I saw someone post this a week ago on Instagram and my eyes widened. It was the quote, you will own nothing and be happy. The idea is that someone said that years ago, and it was meant, as far as I understand it, it was meant to mean in the future, you know, you won't have to worry about owning stuff because, you know, everything will be cheaper. Everything can be rentable, like this kind of thing. And I was like, okay, whatever, sure. And then you look at that quote now, and you see that all the assets are being bought up. The debt continues to rise. The deficit is going absolutely nowhere. And there's also, what were the projections that we just got? I believe the numbers that we just got were 50, the U.S. deficit, the national debt being at 40 or 50, I believe it was $50 trillion within the next 3.5 years. I believe that was the last number that we saw. Tying everything together, it does then make a lot of sense why people would be de-dollarizing, why people would be rapidly moving into other assets, why we keep hearing these companies announcing, we're getting out of Dodge. We're buying as much Bitcoin as possible. We're going to have a Bitcoin treasury. All of it seems to tie together. This is absolutely nutso. I feel like, first of all, we are definitely in the wealth transfer. And I told you before in a number of other videos, it's not going to work the way that the average person thinks. A lot of people think, or the misconception is that the wealth transfer is going to like basically move money from the rich and kind of sprinkle it upon everyone. No, it's basically moving from one asset class into another, and the rich will only continue getting richer, and they will also own everything. That's why everyone else will own nothing, and they will be happy. I mean, happy is a bit of a stretch, but you understand. Yeah, this was once again, to say popular is a gigantic understatement. I feel like everything is rumbling, everything is shaking beneath us, and like 99% of people are just like blissfully unaware that anything is taking place. That's what also, last thought, what also frustrates me when people within crypto also aren't paying attention. That's the buy Bitcoin news. And yeah, let's move on. I think this news was supposed to surprise us or shock us, or oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It just makes complete logical sense. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF has emerged as the fastest growing fund by assets, according to a recent disclosure by Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas. And I'll say this as well. We had some of this news like March and April 2024. We heard by summertime last year, BlackRock's Bitcoin IBIT ETF was already, I think, in the top 100 or something like that of like the most successful ETFs ever. EV, ER. It had completely passed by every other ETF you could possibly imagine that had been around for a good like 10, 15, 20 years. Even a lot of gold ETFs that, like, people always comparing Bitcoin to gold and gold to Bitcoin, had completely like breezed past all these gold ETFs. It says just 1.4 years since its launch, the BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Trust has amassed $72.4 billion US dollars in assets under management, making it youngest ETF in the top 25 by a margin of over a decade. And here's the tweet for it right here. Like I said, I think this news was supposed to shock us. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna, going a long shot here. This will probably end up being in the top 10 of all time in the very near future. I don't think there's any question about that. As long as they continue to accumulate more Bitcoin, which they're going to, and Bitcoin continues to rise in price whenever that might be, they're only going to continue getting larger and larger. So yeah, I think this was meant to like make us think or go, wow, the company that owns everything has, they're successful. Whoa, can't believe it. Cool, I guess. Once again, I'm never voting for the companies or corporations. I'm rooting for you, everyday normal people, to accumulate these assets, because rich people, they already own everything. So, make sure you own some of it too. That's the BlackRock is successful news. Surprise. And yeah, let's move on. Okay, the next one. That's actually going to be a surprise. So this was also news that was out there. Apparently, the Ethereum Foundation is laying people off. Layoffs follow year-long community criticism over scalability delays and developer engagement gaps threatening ETH's dominance. The Ethereum Foundation announced it has fired some of its members of its research and development team. The move is part of a larger restructuring plan designed to address key protocol design challenges. The rumors, my friends, you want to know the rumors? The rumors are that it has to do with like funding and monies. So apparently people are, the allegations are in the news that apparently the Ethereum Foundation is letting people go because they need more money or want more money or trying to prove to investors that they can kind of skim off some of the excess to show that they can be even more profitable. The other rumors are that apparently internally there are a lot of bickering going on. We had that news about 3 or 4 months ago where we heard that Vitalik said that he's probably going to like take some steps back because people keep saying that he thinks he's like an overlord, basically. That whatever he says goes. He said he's going to move back a little bit. He's going to start developing some of his own stuff. And this is why I think we've been getting a lot of Vitalik Buterin news as of late about like scaling and him doing this. And he's working on that, like that kind of thing. These foundations, and I will single out the Ethereum foundations. These things are worth an astronomical amount of money. There's no way on this earth that this had to do with any kind of like we need money. I assume it has to do with people putting forth proposals to change Ether, to scale Ether, to do this to Ethereum. And none of it was taken seriously, or they simply told people, no, we're not going to do that. This is why we've heard a massive amount of Ethereum developers since the beginning of the year talking about their proposals. And while we've heard everything from making Ethereum as robust as humanly possible to making Ethereum as simple as Bitcoin. You remember that one? Like 2 weeks ago, somebody was like, no, we're going to tear away everything else and make it just like Bitcoin, make it as simple as humanly possible, to hearing about this upgrade's happening and that update's happening and they're going to have this transactions and that's going to happen to this and this ZK starts and this. According to a Monday blog post, the foundation has rebranded its protocol research and development division under a new simplified name called Protocol. Wow. The organization is also reorganizing its teams and introducing clear coordination structures focused on 3 main areas: scaling Ethereum's base layer, expanding blob space, and improving user experience. A couple of weeks ago, I remember in a video across one of the multitudes of information that we were getting about upcoming Ethereum upgrades and updates. And if you don't remember what I said no one cares. I think, so I'm going to give it to you this way. I think a lot of the people who build these chains, I think that they end up being so smart that they don't really understand or can't conceptualize what the average person wants or needs. That's a real thing. Have you ever used like an app or a website and like you just want something basic from it and like it takes forever to load or things just don't work? It's this kind of like user experience or like user interface thing. People aren't asking for a lot. I want to click on it and it works. If I put money there, spend money on it, I want it to work and I want to get my product and I want it to look pretty. That's really all that people ask for. Make sure it's secure, make sure it works, and give me my product. I think that a lot of these developers over the years have become, you know how like rich people exist in their own corners? Like when you become like really wealthy, you start hanging out with other people who have money. When you get a yacht, you start hanging out with people who have yachts. I think a lot of these developers are so, and this is from my viewpoint, my stance, having been in this space, having seen people in this space, knowing developers and yada, yada, yada. I think people get so rich that they end up sitting in their own corners just with other rich developers. And they're constantly trying to appease investors. And I mean like big wig, rich investors, like early investors, to like make sure that they have some kind of like a beautiful multi-dimensional product. The average person for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for XRP, for Cardano, for any chain, it just has to work. It has to work. It has to, in this case, the scaling thing, they've been talking about scaling Ethereum since 2015 and 2016 and 2017 and forever. Just do it. Stop wasting time. Like, you're trying to make this so much more complicated than it actually has to be. We don't need this. We don't need that other layer. We don't need this other. Just do it. Put forth a proposal to get to 1,500 transactions per second and execute it. Send it out there. Make sure that it works. No one's going to be upset. We understand. And it's a lot better than 15 transactions per second. That's it. All other investors care about after that is the what I like to call theme of Bitcoin is boring. They say that Bitcoin is boring because it doesn't create anything else after it. Bitcoin simply go up in price. Well, Ethereum has staking. We got it. All everyone's really asking, like, we know you have the partnerships, you have the developers, you have a whole bunch of people working on this project. I wonder what's actually happening behind the scenes that we may never know about. There's usually always some little like interesting squabbles happening between these developers, and this is how you end up getting Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Diamond and Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. It's because of these things. The average person really doesn't care. I think there's always so much focus on the wealthiest people in the room that you forget that there's 8 billion people who you're also trying to market this to. So for the 23 really wealthy people who are standing by your side and they're telling you, hey, make this shinier, do this, blah, 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 blah. Don't forget that the entire point of this project is becoming a world computer that everyone wants to use. We could have gotten there already. And this is what happens when you have venture capital money like flowing through all of this, as opposed to like actual community decisions. You end up getting a whole bunch of bloating, and this is happening, and people leaving the foundation. This goes for every other chain as well. The average person, it's nice to have the possibility of ICOs and STOs and NFTs and to make websites and playing video games. Oh, awesome, amazing nostalgia. The rest of the world just wants it to work, look pretty, and give me my money. If I know that I can stake my Ether without having to need a third, fourth, and fifth party, the app, website, wallet that I'm using works, and I check back daily, weekly, monthly, and I see that I made some monies, that's all anyone actually cares about. There's so much internal nonsense happening, and I assume that this is only going to continue. And remember, keep in mind, I'm just one voice here, and I like kind of care about Ether. I mean, there are 3 other coins that like I would much rather focus on than Ether. The problem is that Ethereum is the second largest coin, and it drags up all the other altcoins with it. I just feel like this goes for every single chain, every single coin. You're trying to become something larger than life, and no one really cares. Just upgrade it. We should not be having the same conversation that we had a decade ago. Do you understand how crazy that is? You got staking, you got security token offerings, you got ICOs, you got NFTs, You got multiple layers. You are Ethereum's partner with JP Morgan Chase, Microsoft, and 300 other companies. And we still don't have scaling on the base layer? What are you talking about? Anyway, they left a little tidbit that said some people will be leaving and yada yada. We wish them the best and so and so. It's weird. It's very, very weird. They're wasting the opportunity of multiple lifetimes. You people run, control, made, develop the second largest digital currency that we have ever known. And all the bickering and squabbling and no one can figure out anything and people are leaving. Just upgrade it. Get it. We just had the news from Vitalik. If you missed that video, he said within the next year, that is 12 months, he said he's expecting the base layer to upgrade by 10 times. After that, everyone else isn't going to care. It just has to work. That's why when you look at the reason why the Bitcoin developers said years ago, no, Bitcoin will stay at 3 to 5 transactions per second. End of story. Everything else around it can develop. This is why Bitcoin remains powerful, because you don't have this ridiculous conversation of, we're going to have this on Bitcoin. And then on Thursday, we're thinking about having this. If we add some balloons to Bitcoin, Bitcoin would be even higher. Because if we do... This is why the Bitcoin news is just about adoption, because it's solid and secure. There's no discussions about any, we'll talk about the Lightning Network or how this person did this. All the news about Bitcoin is companies and governments buying it. So I hope they get it together. Really, 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 I really hope they get it together. You're missing the chance. It doesn't and would not take a lot for XRP to become the number 2 coin, and people would pump its price to make sure that liquidity and money were drained from other altcoins, solidifying XRP's place at number 2. How much bickering do you hear from Ripple? When all this stuff is going on, No, it's really crazy. Get over it. Get over it and update it. Stop it. It's been 10 years. Imagine 2031. Imagine in 2031 we're like, well, apparently on Tuesday there's going to be another update that's going to make the blobs slightly bigger, and then they'll be able to cross-chain with Cardano, and then they'll be able to, and then we're also hoping that by next Friday that we have 300 transactions per second, because that would people don't care. Just upgrade it and do it. Anything else that happens after, I promise the public won't give 2 fudges at all. Well, as you might have imagined, this was also very much spoken aboutly news because it's been a decade. Just get it done. Stop with the nonsense already. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting on the video, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.